ladies. Welcome to today's live broadcast. And I want to talk about 3 keys to healthy romantic relationships. Very exciting because we all want a healthy romantic relationship, right? And so let's just start with talking about it's really ideal to start off your relationship with these 3 keys that I'm going to share. And not that you can't turn things around once you're in a relationship, but you're going to have so much more success if you start your romantic relationships off using these 3 keys and then practicing these 3 keys consistently throughout your relationship. That's going to be the overall key to your success, because so many relationships, including my first marriage, started off without having these principles and without having the keys that I'm going to share with you. It was hard for me to navigate the relationship. I just didn't have a whole lot of emotional intelligence. We're not taught these keys in high school and college and grade school. Our parents didn't know them. And so we're really going into relationships really without that emotional intelligence, which is so important and critical for the success of relationships today. And so let's start off with the first key. And so I feel that the very first key and the most important thing is to attract a man who is committed to a path of self-development and self-discovery. So it's really important in the very beginning that you ask the right questions and attract a partner that is as committed to a path of personal growth, becoming more self-aware, and then to applying the tools that you decide you're going to use to navigate your relationship in a healthy way. And so I think that's the very first thing that you want to discuss when you are in the dating process. And this is why I'm so passionate about doing what I do and teaching what I teach. It's because all of my programs are all created around giving you the skills so that you can navigate the dating platform that moves into a marriage. So if you're ever working with me in my company or you're following me on YouTube, you know that I'm always talking about the underlying principles that, yes, it's great that you date, but there's dating deliberately, doing everything deliberately, so that when you do attract a man and you've been practicing the deliberate dating that I teach, the more conscious, bringing more consciousness to your conversations, then you're already setting up yourself for a healthy romantic relationship. So that's really exciting. So it starts as soon as you start dating. It doesn't start after you meet. By then, you've already chosen your partner, and you don't even know if he's the right partner for you if you haven't asked the right questions in the dating platform. And that's why I'm a big believer of dating and using it as an opportunity to grow yourself. It's an environment rich in opportunities to expand yourself, your emotional maturity, and create a really juicy relationship. So the first key I already shared with you is to make sure that you are on a path of self-discovery and self-development with your partner. And so that would start off with asking him, what things he's done, maybe some of the books that he's read, and maybe he hasn't read any books, and that's okay. Then you say, are you open to exploring some topics about spirituality and presence, about intention, conscious listening? I mean, you can open up a dialogue initially. I mean, just because somebody hasn't done a lot of spiritual work doesn't mean they're not open to learning, especially when we're looking at second marriages or failed relationships, or maybe losing a loved one and wanting to do it better. I really want to believe that we all want to have a better life, to do better, and to become the best version of ourselves. So I want you to give men that same benefit of the doubt. And you can do that by asking more questions when you're dating them, and being excited about this path. It's a very exciting path because it creates the ability for you to have a bigger life, to hold more, have more, do more, be more. And so talking with the man that you're dating, or even that you're dating now, about really getting on a path of discovery together. And so because as soon as you commit to that path, you're going to start using the skills that you agree that you'll fall back on when you have challenging times. So the first key is finding a man who's willing to grow with you. And so the second key in having a healthy romantic relationship is self-awareness. Okay, self-awareness. And so self-awareness for your partner, self-awareness for you. But you cannot really understand your partner if you don't understand yourself, because then you're really looking externally. Only through going within and coming from that place and then looking outside of you from a perspective of having gone within can you see things more clearly. And so self-knowledge is all about intimacy. Into me, I see. It's your Jackieology. It's your hi Terry. It's your Terryology. It's your Amyology. Hi Leslie. Hi Amy. It's your ability to self-examine, and especially without the fear of self-judgment. So you have to learn to accept yourself and to self-examine without judging yourself, because the more you know about you, the more comfortable you get, and the less you get caught off guard when things happen. You get triggered. You're not so caught off guard by that trigger because you're like, I know where this is coming from. You have enough self-knowledge about your history, the things that happened to you from the minute you're born, all along the way. You've already gone back and kind of processed through why you think the way you think, why you have the beliefs you have, and the patterns that have taken a hold in your life, and maybe the patterns you've dismantled already. So having that self-awareness gives you a lot of not only personal integrity, but personal power, because things that happen can't trigger you as much because you're already aware that you've been challenged by them in the past. Maybe it's like, for example, not feeling good enough. So maybe you meet a guy and you really like him, and you start to have this trigger, like, I'm not good enough. You start to back up, and then you're like, wait a minute, I know what this is about. I know where this started, and I know how to nurture myself so that I feel better faster, and I don't buy into that old belief system of not good enough. So you have that self-awareness that had existed in you, but you've already done the work around releasing that belief and creating new beliefs that do serve you. And so really it's just all about self-knowledge. And I have to just say that is the most exciting journey you're ever going to go on, is going on the journey within and discovering who you really are. Once you peel back all those layers, the conditioning that we receive over a lifetime, and really getting into what makes you happy, giving yourself permission to live the life according to the rules that you establish as an adult, not necessarily the ones that we inherit from our parents. So it's really releasing those patterns and behaviors that don't serve us anymore, and then creating new patterns and behaviors that do, as an emotionally mature, highly functional woman. From that place, you really have more self-awareness so that you can actually look at your partner, the man you're dating, and see beyond your own stuff, because you've dismantled a lot of it. So you can see what his challenges are, which leads me to the third key. And the third key is understanding your partner. You can understand your partner when you understand yourself. It's very hard to understand somebody else when you haven't really done that yourself, because then you're looking at them through your own filter. And if that filter hasn't been removed, the mask, the conditioning, then you're really looking at them through that conditioning, those judgments, which are self-judgments, right? So understanding your partner is the third key. And you really need to be sensitive to your partner's challenges and his needs, because when they arise, you have this profound opportunity and really obligation and responsibility to help your partner navigate that, because we come together for the purpose of growth. People erroneously believe that we come together, that our partner is there to make us happy, that it's his job to make you happy. It's not his job to make you happy. It's your job to make you happy. But guess what? When you're happy, then you'll be happy in your relationship. So going back to what I was just saying about being careful about triggering your partner, knowing his history. So he's already had his own set of, conditioning and patterns and belief systems that he's in the process of trying to dismantle to live a bigger life. So knowing that, you can be careful not to trigger those painful experiences or those challenges that your partner has. And that's going to help you mature and grow together. And so the purpose of you coming together is to help each other heal those core wounds. And that's why relationships are so important, and they help so much faster on our personal growth, our journey home to ourselves, when we partner with a man who's committed to that path of personal growth, because you can heal those core wounds together and then grow and evolve together. And so core wounds, for example, could be an abandonment issue. And so maybe, my first husband's father didn't raise him. I wasn't raised in a two-parent home. My mother raised me. So I attracted a man who had a similar history, meaning not historically every little thing was the same, meaning that we both were raised by our mothers and we both didn't have the influence of a healthy male. And so we both had these abandonment issues. And so I'm not speaking for him. I'm just saying that what I gathered, my own intuition and experience about that relationship. And so that was a magnet. We attracted each other because underlying we had similar core wounds, right? Abandonment issues. And so we came together for the purpose to heal, but at that time I didn't know that. And so we sabotaged the relationship. I sabotaged it because I was feeling like I was always getting abandoned, but those feelings were already there. They already existed in me. So I was blaming my partner at the time for abandoning me, but I was actually continuing to abandon myself in that blame. Does that make sense? And so let me say that again, because I think that's really important that you understand. So because I already had a belief that I've been abandoned because I felt totally abandoned. So for me, it was real when my father wasn't showing up for me. And so when I got married the first time, I blamed my husband for abandoning me. But I already had that belief that I was abandoned. So I projected that onto him. And even though he really wasn't abandoning me, because out of fear and fear of rejection, I would use the blame as a protection mechanism because I haven't done the self-examination. I didn't understand the process that I teach now. And so I was looking externally and blaming the people around me instead of going within and discovering that I did have feelings of abandonment that was real for me and I needed to heal that. So I didn't look at him through that filter, right? Does that make sense now? And so we really kind of weren't set up to win. We weren't set up to succeed in a relationship because we didn't have these keys. We didn't understand that, the purpose of coming together and these deeper things that I'm teaching you right now. And so subsequently resulted in a divorce. And a lot of the work that I do is really to help women, and I know a lot of men watch my channel, is to not go through a divorce, not go through a loss like that because it's very harmful. And there's a lot of lessons that come from it. So I don't think there's any bad experience because we can turn lemons into lemonade. But going forward in middle age, we really want to have a healthy, robust, romantic relationship. So the third part is understanding your partner's unique challenges because you understand yours. And when you understand your own unique challenges, guess what happens? You have an immense amount of compassion and empathy for others like I do because I know what it is to suffer. I know what it is to have loss, and I know what it is to feel abandoned, to feel not good enough, not worthy, not smart enough, not whatever enough. I had so much of that going on. And now that I've healed that, I really understand how in my head I was about all of that and constantly on guard and constantly projecting at everybody around me. Nobody had a chance to have an authentic relationship with me because I wasn't able to have an authentic relationship with me. And so the walls were up protecting me. Once I dismantled all the walls and I got really intimate with myself and I wasn't afraid to self-examine, then it was much easier for me to then see how others were suffering because they didn't have that self-awareness that I had grown into. And so the last piece I want to say, I'm going to take a couple questions to wrap this conversation up is, yes, all of this information is great, right? But how do you apply it? How do you apply all of the information that I've shared? I just made a little note here. I just want to read my notes here. Okay. And so how do you apply the knowledge? So you have to start taking action. And how you can start taking action on applying self-knowledge, like becoming more intimate with yourself, is asking yourself more questions. Question your thinking. Question your thinking. There's nothing wrong with any of you watching this. You just have some incorrect thinking. So don't go into thinking, I don't want to look within because there's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. You've just picked up some thoughts that maybe aren't true about yourself. So you have to ask yourself more questions like, why do I feel that way? And so just by a series of being more curious about your feelings and anchoring them and tracking them back to where they started will give you so much self-knowledge. It's ridiculous. So for example, let's run the abandonment. So, I feel like he's abandoning me. Why do I feel that way? because I have been abandoned. Okay, I was abandoned by my father. So that's where it started. So I'm like, yeah, I can see how I feel that way. It's normal that I felt abandoned because I was, but it wasn't healthy for me to project that onto my first husband. So now all of you just start asking yourself more questions, start journaling. And, I use this tool, the sentence completion. I'm going to give you this little tip. It's going to really help you, a processing tool. Use the word because and turn it around in your journaling. So I feel abandoned because, and answer that question 6 times and see what truth you pull up, and then turn it around. Say you turn it around because my father divorced my mother and left. So there's the big whopper, right? There's the truth. So turn it around and now start with because my father left. What did you do? What was the behavior? I was angry. I was hurt. I was devastated. I was really masculine. I was a driver. So do you see? I can see all the behavior that resulted from the abandonment. And then all that behavior is how I've been living my life. And is that serving me anymore? No, it's not serving me to act out that way. So I have to heal that abandonment issue so I can stop behaving in that way. And so look how much you're able to pull up, to surface, so that you can see it. Because healing accompanies awareness. More awareness you have about you, the more healing you have. So it's really a beautiful process. And I really encourage all of you to take time to start to journal using the because word, starting with the sentence and then turning it around with because at the beginning. Okay, I hope this was helpful. I'm going to take a couple questions. Yes, that's great. I like Julie said, we need to tell ourselves, I am enough, and focus on this. So let's expand on that. You can say, I am enough because, write down 6 reasons why you're enough. Just saying something, an affirmation is great. Give it some more meat. That's a great stew, but let's put some more meat in it. I am enough because I am worthy. I am enough because I'm deserving of all of my desires. I am enough because I believe that I'm enough. So just keep running that I am enough. Great question or post there, Julie. Let's see. I love your advice. Detach from outcomes and the power of positive thinking. Yay, that's great. Okay, so let's see over here. How to stop on Facebook. Hi, ladies. How to stop sabotaging the relationship. Before I think I get hurt, I prematurely end the relationship. I'm so glad you brought that up because there wasn't really another important key that I really didn't mention that is critical. So glad. See, everything happens for a reason. All of you help me to help you. So the other piece that I want to say is you have to manage your emotions. You have to regulate your emotions. It is not okay for you to exhale your anger, your sorrow, your sadness onto your partner. They're not your dumping ground. They're not there to hold that space. Yes, I can hold that space for my husband and I can hold it for you, but we can't do it indefinitely, right? And so we can be the sounding board for you. So when you have an emotion, you have to recognize that emotion is generating from within you. If you feel it, it's about you, right? And especially you can use this little tip. If you spot it, you got it. So if you see something happening, it's really triggering you. Guess what? It's triggering you. Whatever they're doing isn't because they're doing it. I would say 90% of the time, it's because it's triggering something that was already active in you. And you've heard me say this, if somebody steps on your toe and it hurts, if it hurts an hour later, it was already infected. So somebody says something to you, like, you don't really like that. But if after an hour you're still obsessing and thinking about it, then it was already active within you. Otherwise, it wouldn't have bothered you. So we often think that person did that. But really, when we have one finger pointing back at that person, there's 3 more, and you've all heard this, right? 3 more pointing back at you. You need to pay attention to the other 3 fingers. So we have to learn to manage our triggers and our emotions and stop exhaling on our partners when we get triggered. You have to take responsibility for our triggers and follow them to our source. I feel angry because. Do you see that sentence completion tool? Because I feel angry, I act out. Because I feel angry, I withdraw. Because I feel angry, I call on my friends and create more drama. So start off with processing first, heal first, and only then do you take it to your partner. You could say something like, what happened last night really upset me, and I'm going to process what it was for me, and then I'd like to set an appointment to talk to you on Sunday. Then by the 3 days go by, 2 days go by, you're both thinking about what happened. By the time you get to the conversation, all the charge is out. You haven't brushed it under the rug. You've acknowledged it, but you're not in a position to talk to your partner about it because you haven't moved the emotion, the energy behind it. There's a trigger, and then there's all the emotion that comes. You have to move the emotion out of the way so you can get the clarity you need, so you can take it to your partner and not blame them or dump it all on them, because that's really unfair and it's really unhealthy. And that's I think the biggest cause for divorce and separation and falling out relationships is we think that we have to implode everything on others, and really that's just not emotionally okay. And what happens is the result of that, the consequence is really steep because it pushes people away. They know that it's not safe to be around you because you aren't regulating your emotions. So I'm not saying it's not okay to have emotions and to be upset. Of course we have feelings, we have to honor those feelings, but guess what I just said? We have feelings, I have feelings. They're just that, they're my feelings, not yours. So I'm responsible for my feelings and you're responsible for your feelings. I'm not responsible for others' feelings and I will not own them, but I will hold space for you to help you work through and figure out where the feeling's coming from. But really it's your job to do that. And I just gave you some tools in order for you to start that process. I made those mistakes too, girls, and that's why I'm teaching you this, because I broke my own heart by not having these tools and not being able to apply them. So it resulted in divorce, and that just broke my heart. And I'm never going to go through that again because I'm really committed to path of self-discovery, and so is Michael. And I'm committed to, even though when it's uncomfortable, to setting those appointments, just saying the thing, to showing up with a lot of emotional courage and honesty, fearing rejection. Oh my gosh, rejection, right? What if he rejects me? Even after years of being married, you can still have a fear of rejection because it's a survival mechanism. We don't want to be rejected from the tribe, but you have to override that survival mechanism because we're not living in survival anymore, right? We're living in thriving. We're thriving in our relationship. In order to stay thriving, we have to question our thinking. So I hope this was helpful. I'm just sending you all a lot of love. The next several live broadcasts I'm going to do on relationships, because I know that we've covered so much in dating that I know so many of you need relationship coaching and relationship support that we didn't get when we were growing up, that we didn't get in high school, college, and in life. So I know this is going to support all of you. Okay, ladies, I'm just sending you all so much love. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and grab my free holiday ebook, The Secrets to Reading a Man's Mind. That will get you on my mailing list, and I'm sending out a special video series right after Christmas for 5 days. It's all about feminine mastery. And I want you to take advantage of that. You don't have to opt in for it, but you do have to get on my mailing list and my database so that you can receive the email, so that you can binge on the feminine mastery between Christmas and New Year's. I want to keep supporting you during that time that I know is hard for a lot of you watching this. Okay, ladies, sending you lots of love. Take care. Thanks for being here. See you next week. Bye.